Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
We were learning about inflorescence in the previous class, and we started with the classification of flowers on the basis of different criteria. And I think we started with classifying plants on the basis of the sex organs or the reproductive organs present. What are the two types of flowers that we discussed based on the sex organs present? Elaine? Devika?
Unisexual flowers and bisexual flowers.
Explain what are
unisexual means either stamen or carpel will be present, and bisexual means both. The flower will have both stamen and carpel.
Children, please don't make me remove from the session. If your videos are off, next time when I see the screen, if the video is like this, I will remove you. That's the final warning for you people. Based on symmetry, we can categorize them into actinomorphic, zygomorphic, and asymmetrical flowers. So let's learn in detail what each type of flowers mean. Actinomorphic. This we already saw last day. Can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center. If you can divide the flower into two equal halves, into two equal radial halves by cutting it along any radial plane passing through the center, you can call them as actinomorphic flowers. Example, mustard and datura. Two examples, mustard and datura. Examples also you should be familiar with. Now the next one. Zygomorphic. Zygomorphic is same as bilateral symmetry. If the flowers can be divided into two similar halves, only in a particular plane, passing through the center, you can call them as zygomorphic flowers. Same explanation or same thing what we have learned when we discussed about bilateral symmetry in animal kingdom. So if the flower can be divided into two identical halves, only in a particular plane, passing through the center, only in a particular vertical plane, passing through the center, only vertically, only in the vertical plane, you can divide them into two identical halves. Whereas in actinomorphic flowers, you can divide them in any radial plane. It is not just limited to one plane. Any radial plane, you can divide them into two identical halves, provided this plane is passing through the center. And radial symmetry is same as actinomorphic, and zygomorphic is same as bilateral symmetry. If the flowers can be divided into two similar halves only in a particular vertical plane passing through the center, you can call them as zygomorphic flowers. Pea flower, gulmohar, all these are examples for zygomorphic flowers. Clear? Now next one, asymmetrical. That you know, you cannot divide the flower into identical halves in any plane. How much ever you try, it's not possible to get two identical halves. Cannot be divided into two similar halves by cutting it along any vertical plane. If they are not exhibiting any sort of symmetry. If they have to be symmetry, we should be able to get two identical halves either by cutting it along any plane passing through the center, any radial plane passing through the center, or in a particular plane passing through the center. Either it should be radially symmetrical or bilaterally symmetrical. Then you will be able to get two identical halves. But when they are asymmetrical, in any vertical plane, if you cut them, you're not going to get two identical halves. Example, canna. Canna, commonly in gardens, you might have seen different colored. Canna comes in different colors, yellow, pink, then multicolored, different varieties are there. Canna indica or canna is an example for an asymmetrical flower. Clear? Can I proceed?
Yes.
Yes. Next, we are going to see another criteria for classifying flowers. First one, we learned the classification based on the reproductive organs. Then we learned its classification based on symmetry. Third one, classification based on the number of floral appendages. Trimerous. If the flowers have floral appendages, like petals and all, if it comes in multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12. So if the floral appendages are in multiples of 3, you call it as trimerous flower. Tri, 3. So there you can see the picture of tulip or tulipa flower. That is an example for trimerous flower. Tetramerous. Tetramerous, floral appendages are in multiples of 4. Pendamerous, when they are in multiples of 5. Hibiscus, pendamerous. So you can give any example of the flowers, but the only condition is that in trimerous flowers, the floral appendages should be either 3 or in multiples of 3. And tetramerous, tetra means 4, penda 5. Tetramerous, either 4 or in multiples of 4. Floral appendages should be either 4 or multiples of 4. Pendamerous. Pendamerous means the floral appendages should be either 5 or in multiples of 5. So that is the third criteria for classifying flowers. Once again, flowers can be classified into trimerous, tetramerous, and pendamerous depending upon the number of floral appendages. Trimerous means the number of floral appendages will be either 3 or multiples of 3. Tetramerous, 4 or multiples of 4. Pendamerous, 5 or multiples of 5. Fourth criteria, based on the presence or absence of bracts, bracts are actually reduced leaves. So bracts are not found in all flowers. Some of them, they have reduced leaves at the base of the pedicel. Pedicel is the stalk of the flower. At the base of the stalk of the flower, you can see certain reduced leaves, and those are known as bracts. So based on the presence of these bracts, you can classify flowers into 2 types, bracteate flower and ebracteate flower. So in rose flower, you can see those bracts. So here, these are the bracts. This is pedicel. Peduncle and pedicel both are same. The stalk of the flower, and you can see reduced leaves at the base of the pedicel, and those are known as bracts. Some of the flowers like bougainvillea and rose, they are having bracts, whereas mimosa pudica or touch-me-not plant, there the flowers are without bracts. So ebracteate means bracts will be absent. Bracteate means bracts will be present. What are bracts? These are reduced leaves present at the base of the pedicel. Any doubts? So 4 criteria for classifying flowers we learned. First one was based on the presence of reproductive organs, then based on symmetry, then based on whether they have bracts or not, and then what was the previous one, children? Meryl, tell me all the 4 criteria for classifying flowers. First one?
Based on the sex organs present.
Yes.
Based on the symmetry.
Yes.
Based on the floral appendages number.
And the last one, based on
the presence or absence of bracts.
Okay, good. Now we are moving on to the next one. 5th one, based on the position of sex organs on the thalamus. Thalamus we already learned. It's the swollen part of the pedicel. We call it as a receptacle also. And it is on the thalamus that the different floral appendages are arranged, or different floral appendages and even the sex organs, gynoecium, androecium, all these are present on the thalamus. The 4 whorls, sepals, petals, androecium, gynoecium, etc. are arranged on the thalamus or receptacle. It's a broad tip of the pedicel. Now, based on this, based on the position of the sex organs, not based on the presence of sex organs, but based on its position. We can categorize them into different types. First one, hypogynous. You can see a symbolic representation of a hypogynous flower over here. Then perigynous. Pictures you can find. Third one, epigynous. So these are the three types of flowers on the basis of the position of the sex organs. Hypogynous, perigynous, epigynous. Epigynous, perigynous, hypogynous. These are the three types of flowers based on the position of the sex organs. Details of each one we are going to see. We'll start with the first one, hypogynous. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the male or female part of the flower? Louder. Gynecology. Gynoecium. Gynecologist.
Female part.
Female part. It's a female part of the flower or the female reproductive organ. So when that is occupying the highest position, when it is occupying the highest position while all the other parts, petals, sepals, stamens, etc. are situated below, then you call such a flower as hypogynous flower. So here you can see this is the ovary. So the position of the ovary is highest, and below that stamen, petals, sepals. So that means ovary is superior to all the other parts. So such a flower is known as hypogynous flower. Once again, in hypogynous flowers, gynoecium or the female reproductive organ will be occupying the highest position. All the other parts will be situated beneath it. Or you can say ovary is superior. Such a flower is hypogynous. Examples. Children, you should know the examples. Maybe for multiple choice questions, several examples can be given. Pick out the hypogynous flower from the following. So you should know the examples, at least the examples given in your textbook. Mustard flower, China rose flower, brinjal. All these are having hypogynous flowers. So what is meant by a hypogynous flower? Here gynoecium is occupying the superior position, highest position. All the other parts are beneath. And here ovary is superior. Ovary is a part of gynoecium. It's superior. Gynoecium has got stigma, style, ovary with ovule inside. So ovary is superior here because gynoecium is occupying the highest position. Now moving on to epigynous. The margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. All the other parts arise above the ovary. Here ovary is inferior. You see, this is the ovary. This part is the ovary. You can see even yellow colored ovules inside. And the thalamus, so this part is a thalamus. So the thalamus is growing upwards and they are enclosing the ovary. Ovary is completely enclosed by the thalamus. Petals, sepals, stamen, all those are above the level of gynoecium or the ovary. So ovary is inferior, ovary is below. So ovary is inferior. So in epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus will grow upward and encloses the ovary completely and it will get fused with it. And all the other parts you can see above the ovary, and ovary will be inferior. Whereas in hypogynous flowers, ovary is superior. Gynoecium is occupying the highest position. All the other parts, stamen, petals, sepals, all that will be beneath that. But here, all the parts other than the ovary will be above it. So So gynoecium here it is having a superior position, or ovary is inferior. The thalamus grows upwards and completely encloses the ovary and fuses with it. All the parts, all the other parts will be above the level of ovary. Example, guava, cucumber, then sunflower, the ray florets. So the petals in sunflower, you call it as ray florets. So sunflower, cucumber, guava, all these are examples for epigynous flowers. Very important, the three types of flowers based on the position of sex organs. Clear, children? You want me to repeat? Yes or no? Is that fine? Now moving on to the third type, perigynous. Gynoecium is situated in the center. So in the other two flowers, either it is superior or inferior, occupying highest position or lowest position. But here, gynoecium is situated in the center, and the other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus, almost at the same level. So here you can find, see, ovary is situated in the center. It will be in the center. It will be occupying not a superior or inferior. It is actually half inferior. Even though it is occupying at the center, you can see all the other parts produced at the rim of or the edge of thalamus, almost at the same level. All the other parts are almost at the same level. And here we say that the ovary is half inferior. Ovary is half inferior. Once again, in perigynous flowers, gynoecium is situated in the center. You can see it is very clear from the figure. It is situated in the center, and all the other parts, where are the other parts located? On the rim of thalamus. They are located on the rim of the thalamus, almost at the same level. And here the ovary is half inferior. It is half inferior. Examples, plum, rose, peach. Flowers of all these plants are perigynous. We will see all the three types once again. It is important. We started with hypogynous flowers. In hypogynous flowers, the gynoecium occupies the highest position and all the other parts below it. The ovary is superior. Mustard, China rose, and brinjal are the examples. Then we learned about epigynous flowers. In epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus will grow upward and encloses the ovary and fuses with it. All the other parts, petals, sepals, all those will be stamen, everything will be below. Sorry, all the other parts will be above the level of ovary, and here the ovary is inferior. Examples include so we were discussing about hypogynous flowers and epigynous. In epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus grows upwards, enclosing the ovary, and it gets fused with the ovary. And all the other parts, stamen, petals, sepals, will be above the level of ovary. Ovary is inferior here. The flowers of guava, cucumber, and sunflower are examples for epigynous flowers. Then we learned about perigynous. Here the ovary is half inferior. Gynoecium will be situated in the center, and all the other parts will be located at the rim of thalamus. Thalamus is the swollen tip of the pedicel, or we call it as receptacle, and all the other parts will be found at the rim of the thalamus, almost at the same level. And examples also we saw plum, rose, and peach flowers. They are having they are perigynous. Any doubts? Any one to be repeated or any point to be repeated, children? Okay. Tell me what are the different types of flowers on the basis of the position of sex organs. Mary Angelina, just name them.
Ma'am, hypogynous, then epigynous,
And
perigynous.
okay. So tell me about perigynous flowers, Adidev. Perigynous.
The ovaries at the center and other parts are at the rim.
Where is gynoecium?
At the center.
Center. All the other parts?
At the rim of
thalamus. What
thalamus.
about ovary? Ovary is?
Ovaries also the center.
Ovary is half inferior.
Half inferior.
And Mary, tell me about epigynous flowers. Epigynous. Margin of thalamus.
Gymnasium is enclosed inside the thalamus. And the ovaries inside.
Ovaries inside. So margin of thalamus will grow upward and it will enclose the ovary. Ovary is fused with it. What about the other parts? You told me about ovary. Other parts?
Are inferior.
Where you are looking at, Mary? I'm speaking to you. And Mary?
Other parts are superior to it.
Are above the ovary, and ovary can be considered as? Ovary will be? Elaine, ovary will be?
Inferior.
Inferior. Tell me about hypogynous flowers, Valentina.
And the gynoecium occupies the highest position, and all the parts will be below.
Once again. Raining heavily.
Gynoecium occupies the highest position, and all the other parts will be below, and the ovary is superior.
Okay. See, not even half of the students have turned the videos on. I'm not going to continue like this. First you turn the videos on, then I'll proceed. Otherwise, I will stop it here. Okay, Anjana. Some of you have messaged me, no problem, but majority of us, Zahan. Now what I'll do is I will call up your parents and find out whether you really have some connectivity issue. Or I'll post the names in the group. I don't want to do all that. Malaviga, Vipin, Eva, Rose, Irene, Alan, and Adulya already messaged me. Zahan, Hasif, Shreya. Leave me a message, those who are having connectivity issue. Now we are going to learn about the different parts of a flower. Calyx, corolla, ANDROECIUM, gynoecium. In lower classes, you had learned it as sepals, petals, stamen, and carpel or pistil. Calyx is the layer consisting of sepals, or corolla includes petals. ANDROECIUM includes stamens, and gynoecium is a female reproductive organ, that is pistil or carpel. So these are the 4 whorls or 4 layers of a flower. We'll start with the first one, calyx. The outermost whorl, that is outermost layer, it's made up of sepals. And sepals here it is shown in picture. Hope you can see it. See, these are the sepals. Please mute your microphone, children. These are the sepals. So here you can see sepals. These are also sepals. They are green leaf-like structures. As you can see in the figure, these are green leaf-like structures. But when the flower is in the bud stage, it will protect the flower. Flower is protected in its bud stage by these sepals. Sepals will be completely enclosing before a flower blooms. When it is in the bud stage, you might have noticed. Just a minute. When the flower is in the bud stage, you might have seen it will be completely enclosed by the sepals because bud will be small and it will be fully covered. Rose buds and all you might have seen. As it is blooming, as it blooms, as the flower blooms, the sepals will be limited or it will come down to the base. And otherwise, before it blooms, it will be completely enclosed by these sepals and it provides protection to the growing bud or growing flower. Sepals can be united. Either it can be united or it can be free. In the figure, you can see that united as well as free sepals you can find. So polysepalous and gamosepalous. So here you can find these sepals are united. It is not separated like this. Here you can see these are separated. Sepals are separated. So then you call it as polysepalous. Whereas when these are united, so when the sepals are united like this, you call it as gamosepalous. Polysepalous, gamosepalous. Once again, calyx is the outermost layer and it consists of sepals. They are green leaf-like structures and they will protect the flower in its bud stage. It can be either united, all the sepals can be united together, then you call it as gamosepalous, and when they are free, when they are separate, you call them as polysepalous. Next is about corolla. Corolla include or it comprises of petals. Corolla includes petals. These are brightly colored. Except in some night blooming flowers, they'll be white in color so that the white color is better visible at night. Other than that, it will be brightly colored and it is meant to attract the insects for pollination. To bring about pollination, they need to attract the insects and for that they are brightly colored. And petals also can be either united or it can be free. In some cases, the pictures you can see, children, polypetalous means they'll be free. Each petal will be separate. But in some cases, you can see these petals will be joined together. See here, you can find the petals, they are joined together, no separation between the different petals. Whereas in hibiscus, the petals are separated. So once again, you can see the figure clearly. Can you see the figure clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Once again, corolla consists of petals. And what is its function? They are brightly colored so that they can attract the insects for bringing about pollination. It can be united, then it is gamopetalous. When they are free, gamosepalous. Hibiscus is having it is polypetalous. Hibiscus is polypetalous, means the petals are free. And begonia It is Bignonia. You can see the figure over there, picture over there. It is gamopetalous. Gamosepalous means sepals are united. Gamopetalous, petals are united. Polypetalous, petals are free. Polysepalous, sepals are free. Don't get confused. Gamosepalous, gamopetalous. Gamosepalous means sepals are united, not separated. Gamopetalous, petals are united. Polysepalous, sepals are separate. Polypetalous, petals are separate. Next is aestivation. So we are going to learn about aestivation. It's a mode of arrangement. Aestivation is a mode of arrangement of sepals or petals with respect to other members of the world. Other members are gynoecium and androecium. How the petals and sepals are arranged with respect to the other members, that is known as aestivation. So here you can see different types of aestivation. Valvate, twisted, imbricate, vexillary. The symbolic diagram you should know. Once again, the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals. Mode of arrangement of sepals or petals with respect to the other members of the world. So with respect to gynoecium and androecium, how petals and sepals are arranged, that is known as aestivation. 4 types of aestivation: valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. Valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. So details you will learn next class. So what is aestivation, Alina Varghese?
Mode of arrangement of petals and sepals.
With respect to other members of the world. The mode of arrangement of sepals and petals with respect to the other members of the world. Okay. So we'll continue next class. You are learning so many terms. Don't get confused. Gaya, what is the difference between a gamopetalous and polypetalous flower?
Gamopetalous, they will be united, while polypetalous will be
Petals will be free. And polysepalous means what? Meherin, what is polysepalous flower?
Polysepalous means the sepals are free.
Okay, good. Next period. Okay, thank you, children.